I'm Mahdi Shaheeb Sher. My website is www.mahdishaheebsher.com. I think one of my interests in the world as Mahdi Shaheeb Sher is kind of the main the main powers at the moment. Russia, United States of America, France, and the United Kingdom. I think with these four world powers, we do have some kind of antagonism in the world, where there is a feeling of sensitivity by these countries for some of the loss that their countries have experienced. So I think that we do have a situation at the moment where, with these countries, mainly Russia, the United States of America, France, and the United Kingdom, we have some increase of volatility and hostility in the world. I think over the past 20 years, we've had the Western banking crisis, which has seen kind of the collapse of many banks and the shift of wealth, mainly banking wealth, from the Western powers to Eastern powers, like China and India. So I think that with these countries, we do have an increase in perhaps military intent and hostility towards maybe other countries that these countries might feel antagonizers in the world. I think with these countries, I think they see mainly China, India, Vietnam, maybe Asian countries and African countries as the cause of their loss and collapse as strong traditional powers in the world. So I think there is a complaint by these powers, Russia, United States of America, France, and the United Kingdom, of the sheer loss that they've had to experience over the past 20 years, mainly at the hands of new rivals such as China and India. I think these powers are not so much the traditional powers they once were. I think they've become kind of secondary powers compared to other countries that are more kind of influential in the world. I think with these powers, they're kind of having to see maybe a loss of their place in the world. So I think that with this kind of threat to their security, there is some kind of belligerence and some kind of antagonism by these countries. I think these countries are still very strong in terms of the military and the resources they can still command. So they are still a threat in the world, but I think that they are traditional powers now, and maybe not strong powers as they were. If you look at America now, in the past 20 years, it's lost, I think, half of its power, and I think this can be checked. Its influence and strength has been diminished with things like the Western banking crisis, diseases like COVID, and various other issues like economic competitiveness. I think they're not able to stimulate their economies either, and I think they're very much having to just contain themselves within the domestic agendas within their countries. So that's slightly embarrassing for these countries as well. So I do think that we have a problem with these countries. I don't have favorable opinions about these countries. I think Russia, United States, France and United Kingdom. I think they're behaving like colonial powers now because they're engaged in some kind of protective measure, protective mechanism to protect their economies. So I think they've been kind of crying for other countries to liberalise their economies, where they've been very engaging in maybe protective mechanisms themselves with their own economies. So I think that's slightly concerning. I think that what these countries can do is maybe become more helpful and accommodating in the world by opening up their markets maybe and their countries to friendship and foreign goods, and that could maybe ease out the economic condition. But I think because of the deterioration of the global economy over the past 20 years, with things like the Western banking crisis, American oil supplies in the world, and various other traditional industries that have been running the world global economy, I think we have seen, I think because of this collapse of the global economy, we are seeing kind of an erosion of these Western powers. I think the biggest thing was the shift of wealth between the West and the East. I think something like $3 trillion up to $10 trillion has moved from advanced Western economies like France, Germany, Great Britain, United States of America. I think this wealth has moved to other places around the world, including Asia. And I think it's mainly moved with the Western banking crisis. So it's mainly banking wealth with maybe trillions of dollars that exist within these banks and things. I think it's with one of those reasons that the world has caught up to the economic advancement of Western nations, that we're seeing more of a deterioration in kind of the place that these Western economies are usually taken for granted in the world. I think with this loss of power in terms of their financial strength in the world, I think they've lost half of their armies, half of their infrastructure, public infrastructure with government services and things like hospitals and roads. So I think democracy can't function anymore, because I think most of these countries are in a much poorer state than they were 20 years ago. So I think with this financial collapse in the Western world, we're seeing a general collapse with Western countries and a different world. Thank you very much.